Time now for the nationally syndicated radio show, The World of Laurie Zoock. And now, here she is, the smart, the sexy, the savvy, divine Miss Z.
Welcome to the show. I always like to start my shows out with startling, outrageous facts. I'm going to give you two today. The first one has to do with child hunger. Did you know that 1 in 5 children received food stamps in 2014, and only 9 million did in 2007? So what does that make you think about the state of the economy? Still not so good. The other startling statistic is for your health. Drinking 12 ounces of soda a day ups your risk of dying of heart disease by 1/3. I guess I got to stop drinking my 1 can of Coke a day. Those are some startling statistics. Well, I want to talk about something else that's startling, and I have with me on the line Dr. Marlene Siegel, and she's a veterinarian. Welcome, Marlene. A couple of months ago, there was a veterinarian in Texas, and she was fired from the veterinary practice that she worked at because a Facebook photo went viral, and it showed her with her first bow and arrow kill. She killed a local cat, and that photo went viral. When her mother actually took the photo, and this lady's name is Dr. Kristen Lindsay, and she bragged online that she killed a feral cat in her neighborhood, which wasn't feral, it was a pet cat, and she posted the photo showing her holding up the dead cat with the bow protruding from its head. What are your first thoughts on something like that, Marlene?
Appalling displays from anybody, let alone from a veterinarian.
Now, let me tell you one of the things that she posted on her Facebook page. She actually wrote this. It said, "My first bow kill, laughing out loud. The only good feral tomcat is one with an arrow through its head. Vet of the Year award gladly accepted." That angers me, Marlene. I know you're a veterinarian. You love animals. I'm an animal advocate. I love animals. And unfortunately, nowadays, it's not uncommon. And, I sit here and I think to myself, how stupid are people? If you are going to do something like that and you're bragging about it and it's on your Facebook page, well, tell me, what happens when people post stuff like that on their Facebook page?
Well, obviously, the stupidity, it's bad enough that you do something bad, but then to post it in a forum like that is just incomprehensible. I don't know how somebody even goes there.
And yet,
bad judgment, bad character, no doubt about it. She does not reflect the type of individual that veterinarians in a whole represent.
All right, well, tell me about that.
Well, veterinarians as a whole are some of the most compassionate, loving, giving individuals. I don't know a veterinarian in my personal realm that doesn't give far and above more than what they receive in the way of time and education and services and gifting and community involvement. It's actually in our code of ethics to involve ourselves in the community, not just to have a business, not just to provide services, but it's actually in our code of ethics to be a part of our community and contribute in a positive manner to our community.
And it's sad because she's just one example of hundreds, if not thousands of people that do this. And, when I'm on Facebook at night, and I'm an insomniac, I can't sleep, and I scroll through Facebook and I see all of these groups like the National Examiner, which covers pets, or anti-animal abuse, and there are so many people that do this. What's wrong with our society?
Oh, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, it is.
We need to get down to reconnecting with our internal guidance system, let alone connecting back to our earth. And personally, if you want to get my biggest, I would remove television. I would remove the news. I would remove all these movies that promote violence and bad stuff. Like, why do we even have to have that in our consciousness? And I know I'm a little extremist on that, but I don't own a television. I haven't owned a television for over 15 years. And I have not missed out on anything positive at all. But when we start putting all this negative energy into our minds, it becomes what we focus on. And when we focus on negative things, we start seeing more negativity as a result of what we're focusing on. So what I would love to do is to create an entirely different shift in the world, one where we focus on things that are positive and good, and we focus on the things that people are doing good in the world, and we make that our priority, and then we minimize Not that we're ignoring it, but we just don't put our full attention on the things that are negative, especially if we can't do anything about it. What we can do about it is we can change our energy, our focus, the way we present ourselves out into the world, and we can inspire more positive things through our actions.
And that's such an unbelievably good analysis, because I don't know if you're aware, Marlene, I rarely watch TV. TV to me is stupid people things to watch. You know, nowadays there's nothing really worth watching on TV. The news is all slanted, and then when they pick up a story, they beat it to death for, you know, hours, days, maybe a few weeks, and then you tend not to hear whatever happened down the road with that, but it's all negative. And you know, I used to say there should be the happy news. I'd love to turn on the TV and see the happy news for 1 hour and go, wow, you know, let me hear some positive things, not just the negative, because you're right, that gets ingrained in what people listen. They come home and they expect to hear more bad news. But
and you become desensitized to it also. I remember when my kids were little, they would watch, very briefly, they had the cartoons. And as I'm watching these cartoons, I'm realizing they are so violent. They have different cartoon characters are bashing each other on the head, and yeah, it's a cartoon, but what kind of a perception is that leaving for a young child who is seeing that day in and day out? So the sensitivity to right and wrong, and the sensitivity that you can hurt somebody and they don't just bounce back on the next episode. So I think it says a lot about what we need to do as a society, as a culture, to start creating a different focus on what we put our values on. I know friends of mine think it's just entertainment when they go watch a movie that has a lot of violence in it. Well, it's not just entertainment. It's actually putting subliminal messages into your brain.
Yeah.
It's programming you. So I would love to see more and more people follow the example of inspiring stories. I know when I post stuff on my YouTube and I post stuff on Facebook and I do my social media, it's all about positive things. I love TED Talk because it's all about positive things.
Right. It's, you know, people are trying to make a change. That's what sort of the purpose of having a radio show is, to make a change and let people think something good and not always something bad. We might discuss something bad, but we want to see what's good, you know, that's going to come out of it. Now, when I talk about this Dr. Kristen Lindsay lady, you know, she wasn't aware that she was going to be fired, and after that photo went viral, what she actually posted on Facebook said, "No, I did not lose my job," laughing out loud, like someone would get rid of me. I'm awesome. And that tells me there's something mentally wrong with that person, not just as a veterinarian. There's something wrong with her way of thinking. And the fact that her mother backed her up and actually posted those photos like it was okay says to me, wow, exactly what you're saying, Marlene, is right. People are watching all these shows or these movies, and then they're seeing all the negative. It's negative, and it becomes more acceptable because you're desensitized to it, and you accept it as normal. But the truth is, it's not normal, right?
Not normal at all. And we've lost compassion, and we've lost empathy, and we've lost the feeling of caring, not only for others, but for ourselves. You look at the things that people do that are self-sabotaging their own health, and you got to ask yourself, if you know that, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Laurie, because I love you so much.
Okay, that's fine. You can pick on me.
If you know that soda's bad for you,
yes,
really, why are you picking that up? That is a form of self-sabotage. And because we live in a society where even things like that we don't perceive, because when you're drinking it, nothing is physically happening to you. But if every time you took that soda, a brick fell on your head, you would very quickly stop drinking that soda, correct?
You're right, and I'll admit, I used to drink a lot of soda. Now maybe I have 1 or 2 Cokes maybe a week. It's hard to just totally quit. It's almost like a treat for me, yet I know it's bad for myself, but it's hard to stop doing something you've done for a long time.
And I'm glad you said that, because that really speaks to the issue of habits. And when we allow things to become a habit, it becomes a thought. And really, a belief system is just a thought that you keep having.
Right.
So if you believe that something is going to be difficult to stop, then of course you're going to have a difficult time stopping. But if you believe that you have the control and you believe that you could do something different, then you will have that outcome as well. So really it boils down to, what is your belief system? Is
Right.
it one that you're empowered, or is it one that somebody else has control over you? Because
Right.
truly, nobody is standing over you making you do anything negative to your body. That is a conscious choice.
Right.
And when each one of us takes that responsibility and we say, okay, who is responsible for my actions? right? No one forced her to do that. If she were to step up to the plate and say, you know what, I took an action, whether she thinks it's right or wrong, take the responsibility and say, yes, I did this. Now, in hindsight, maybe it was the wrong choice, then at least she would be showing some remorse.
That's
and
the
I
key
think
word.
that's what most people are more enraged about, is that she doesn't show remorse, she doesn't show compassion for the life of another creature.
Right. And I agree with you. And, you know, I want to mention here before we go, and I want to thank you for coming on with me. Right now, she has not yet been criminally charged, so we're waiting to find out if she's going to be criminally charged or not. There is actually a Justice for Tiger Facebook page, and what they're doing is they're promoting, basically peaceful protests, so to speak, at the courthouse. So we're waiting to hear, and we're going to keep our listeners apprised of what happens. So thanks again, Marlene, for joining me, and I'll have you back again soon.
Thanks, Laurie.